This video is on integers and absolute value. We're going to talk about absolute value first. Looking at the term, we actually have three stems from future stem lists that you'll have. The first stem is ab, and that means away. The next stem is sol, and you may recognize that from Spanish meaning sun, but the meaning here is going to be alone. And then the last stem is val, and that's going to mean worth. Indicate absolute value with the straight lines on either side of a number. The number inside could be positive or it could be negative, but the important thing to remember is that the absolute value of a number is always going to be positive. The number inside could be negative, but the absolute value of that number is going to be positive. Taking a look at this example then, or the fact and formula up here, we have the absolute value of 5 and we have the absolute value of -5. Now the value for both of these is going to be 5 because whether you're at 5 or at -5, you're still the same distance from 0 either way. Looking at our bottom two examples, finding the absolute value of -2 and 2, that's simply going to be 2. Looking at our other example here, find the value, absolute value of the difference of 13 and 9. First we're going to solve for those, or find the difference of those numbers, and that'll be 4. So really we're just looking for the absolute value of 4, which is 4. In addition to knowing the absolute value, you'll also need to be able to graph numbers on the number line. We always start at 0, and then depending on whether the number is positive or negative determines whether we go right for positive or left for negative. So looking at this first number, just 1, we're going to go to the right 1, and this should be pretty simple because it probably beckons back to first grade. There's 1 on the number line. The next number is -2, so we're going to count over 2 place values to the left for -2. And then our third number is -6. Starting again at 0, we're counting over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this may seem a little bit basic, but when we get to coordinate plane, that would be the XY coordinate plane, it's going to be very important that you remember these steps. One final term we're going to take a look at is integers. Notice that the integers are negative and positive and include 0, but you do not see any fractions, you do not see any decimals. Now you could have a fraction if it were to reduce to an integer. So let's say it was -2/2. Since that reduces down to an integer, then the fraction could be considered an integer. But if it were an improper fraction, then it cannot be an integer. So a few things to remember. Absolute value is always positive, and integers can be positive or negative, but does not include fractions or decimals.